Yeah, feel free to review those if you choose to. So let's get started with painted in reference to home inspections in particular. So this first property I want to show you is a client of ours that it was a relatively inexpensive 3-unit property in the desert, 189,000. The pictures from the listing were good. I mean, this looks like a nice, clean, well-maintained property. But in having the home inspection done, it was able to really highlight a few areas of concern. See, the top left is the block wall outside of the main unit that the cap had been broken off of it, and block in the bottom left picture had been cracked. So obviously that goes with a structural part of that wall. It was just a garden wall, or it's not a retaining wall, so it's not holding anything back, so it's not structural. But that is something to note. The second picture here, we're seeing cracked stucco. That's just an example of cracked or peeling stucco, which is the external envelope of the property. Always important to make sure that the envelope is secure and solid to keep out everything you want out, whether it's moisture, bugs, whatever. This picture is of a wall unit that was put in, that was crudely put in. Sure, it was cut out and such, but we definitely busted some stucco in doing so, never trimmed it, never sealed it. This picture here is of a roof vent or roof jack that's missing. So obviously rain can go straight down in that, which generally isn't going to cause a huge problem, but it's not correct and could cause a problem. This is a picture, a bit of a distance in picture of the window. The window that you can see, although it's a small picture, you can see that uh, there's they call it dry rot, and whether it's from previous moisture or continuous moisture, it's dry now and it's rotten. You can see that it is not correct here in the installation. So this was definitely an issue. This one here, you see, this is a wire that dead ends right here and is literally not attached to anything. Was it hot? I don't know, but it was certainly fixed. This you'll see quite often underneath the sink. Most people won't open the sink underneath the cabinet, rather, underneath the sink. But generally and most often, if you move everything out of the way, particularly a kitchen sink, you'll see that the floorboard is often rotted. This one was extremely rotted. And in the bathroom, you see that this flex hose was installed, which is fine for a temporary fix, but that's not a permanent fix. Flex hoses do not last long enough for it to be considered permanent, and so that's certainly a water issue or a plumbing issue that needs to be corrected. This water heater picture here, you see where the arrow is pointing to that pressure relief valve that doesn't have a hose. So if the unit water heater was to malfunction and build up too much pressure, that pressure relief would give way and allow the pressure to evacuate itself. But it's going to do it right in the middle of the kitchen, right onto the stove. Very dangerous, because that would be hot water. 110 is about the minimum that hot water heater could be set to. It could be up to as 140-degree water, scalding. So there were quite a few things, but you know, nothing huge. So the total repair estimate was $1,250 as listed here, but we already outlined them. And what ended up being was $1,000 reduction in the seller price. Now, Jordan, I'm sure there are a few things with your house that when you first walk into the house, you're looking around. Of course, you're looking for size and layout, and oh, I can put my couch there, my big screen TV can go there, my bedroom. You look at that kind of stuff first, but you generally don't look and go, oh, there's a water stain right there. Oh, look under the sink. Can you recall just the initial walkthrough of the property region? Did anything really stand out that needed to be done?
So when I first walked through this house, it was a 3-bedroom, rather my house, it was a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, and I like that because I had plans on adding on another bathroom and upping the price for my future game. But walking through the house, I mean, you mentioned,
Yeah, anything glare, anything like, the roof was sagging, missing, missing the toilet, something.
there was a couple things. So you mentioned wood rot.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of, it was an older house. It was built in 1951, I believe. And there was wood rot all around every single window. You could see, it almost looked like mold that was on the inside of the windows. So I was like, oh, well, maybe you just need to clean that and put new gaskets in the windows. Yeah, I'll do that later. That's not a big deal. And
So you didn't really worry about it.
I didn't really worry about it, but it is a big issue.
Yeah, so later you decided it was a good issue. Correct. Gotcha.
There's also water rot under the only bathroom in that house. There's water rot under the sink, and the whole bottom was falling out, so I had to replace that. The piping going to the main bathroom, there was random pipes in the attic because all the lines ran, from the attic down to the bathroom and to the shower. So that was really weird. Other than that, it was pretty good so far. But oh, and one major thing was the condensation coming up from the bottom. So the foundation was coming up through to the tile, and the tile would actually flex up, and that was a huge issue. My home warranty never covered that.
Gotcha, so these are things that you certainly saw while living there, but in the initial walkthrough, nothing, except for maybe the darkening, the mold, maybe whatever it was around the windows on the inside. But it looked like a pretty tight house.
It looked tight, yeah, but the bowing happened, yeah, after a couple months.
Yeah.
But when I first was there and I stepped on it, you could hear it clink, and I was like, that's probably nothing.
Yeah.
So as I did my initial assessment of the house, those little things are just like, it's not that big a deal, but I really want it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, the mental game.
Yep.
All right, let's take a look at this other one, because I think there's a few aspects in this that ring true to your vibe. So this is in the high desert. It's 249,000. So this property is a little bit more expensive. And the initial walkthrough, these are the listing photos, but it looked pretty good. Honestly, it's a high desert house, and so there's not going to be a lot of green, not a lot of grass and trees. But so you take that, into consideration. It was a little bit dirty. It was probably some deferred maintenance type things, a few of those kinds of things. So that kind of helps and kind of hurts. You kind of say, okay, so if I clean this place up, it's going to shine. But it hurts a little bit because then a lot of people could think, this place, if it looks like this, it's probably got worse problems underneath. Well, in fact, it did. So the home inspection, which is always a great suggestion, but it's not a must. See in the top left here, the roof, although it wasn't leaking, nails were just pulling straight out of it. And that's from heat and cooling. High desert gets both hot and really cold, and these nails just back themselves out. Very interesting. That makes for loose shingles and loose areas. And there's other pictures that we didn't show that definitely show that you can get away with this roof for another 3 to 5 years, but that's about it. So that's not something we can really see while during the walkthrough, but a home inspection is an opportunity to renegotiate. These are the items that need to be repaired. These are the items that the seller will repair, perhaps negotiate a discount on the sales price, these kinds of things. So it goes both ways. A home inspection is always an opportunity to renegotiate, and it never goes higher. Always the price goes lower or more expenses come out of the seller's pocket. So inspections are negotiating tactics and techniques, and a great, responsible move for buyers. On the seller side, you need to know or believe that your buyer is on the seller side. You need to know that your buyer is probably going to do a home inspection, in which case I want to make sure that everything is as tight as possible so the home inspector that always finds something, so that he finds the least amount possible so the buyer has less to negotiate. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So going through these is for both buyers and sellers to really educate them on what could possibly happen. So this is a close-up picture of the crack that's in the skylight on the roof. You see the picture back a little further on this one. Now that's the skylight. It not only had yellow, so it wasn't letting a bunch of sun in, but it had also cracked and definitely was leaking. So so that's part of the envelope. That's part of the membrane, so to speak, of the roof. That's not good, right? Okay. So this is stucco that had broken off right by the back door. This is a non-covered electrical outlet that was on the back patio. This is a ceiling fan in the master bedroom that didn't have a pull chain for the fan.
Oh, they broke it up.
Yeah, so which is repairable, but something to note. This picture on the roof is a condensate line that comes from the HVAC system, air conditioner. And a condensate line is moisture that develops that goes into this tube and evacuates off to wherever you want it to drain. Well, it broke here, so that meant that all the water that comes from that condensate line would drip right in front of the back door. Oh, I know. This is a crack in the roofing sealant that goes up the side and in the corner of the chimney. So
wow,
the roof was actually leaking against the chimney. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is yet another outlet that's uncovered, unprotected. This is a health and safety issue and perhaps it just needs a cover. But what else is going on? You know, if you got something this blatant that's out in the open, what else is going on? Well, the other thing that was going on, unrelated obviously, is toilet leak. So they had to know that this toilet was leaking, and that's an easy fix. And that's for buyers and sellers to know. This is a simple wax gasket, a wax ring that take the two bolts of the toilet off and do the supply line, move that toilet out of the way, clean that old wax ring off, put the new wax ring on. Maybe you put two of them on because it's a high standing toilet, or the floor or the tile that they put over the regular floor has raised its toilet up so high that it doesn't seal well with one wax ring. So you put two. And you set that thing back down and then caulk around it. So yeah, the toilet leak. This is the back door, patio door, that obviously had gotten lots of water damage. So all of all the ones that you're seeing in this picture are relatively inexpensive fixes for the DIY, the do-it-yourself, right? Or the handyman in the area, in the city. You don't have to have a contractor for a lot of this stuff, but it's gonna get noted. And let's see what happens. Well, the cost of these repairs is $4,780, $4,700. And yeah, the repairs listed, there are a few other things. Of course, you always have to have carbon dioxide detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, not dioxide. Carbon monoxide detectors, smoke detectors, that's a rule from 2010 California state law that you have to have carbon monoxide detectors on all levels of dwelling, as well as smoke detectors. And smoke detectors have to be outside any domicile or outside any bedroom. So each bedroom needs to have one in it or outside, directly outside. So you need to read the guidelines. If you need a copy of them, just contact me through the website about redlandsrealty.com, and I'll send you the actual law of it. But generally, nearly at least all agents that I know always remind their clients, whether they're refinancing the property or selling the property, make sure the CO and smoke detectors are installed, because an appraiser is going to note those. It's going to cause you to 1004D, which is a reinspection of the appraisal, which is generally $100 to $150. They come back out and say, yep, you put a smoke detector. You got to have these things. So always make sure you're dealing with a professional that can help coach you through this stuff. But yeah, $4,700. And so what ended up happening? Well, the seller did all the repairs There was no reduction in the sales price. It definitely would have cost him less to do the repairs if he did the majority of it himself. So this was a wise seller that chose to do the repairs and make the buyer happy, which is always awesome. Now this is a tremendous home.
Looks like a nice house.
Yeah, this is a nice house. This is obviously a little more expensive. This is in the upper streets of a local city. We try not to identify the owners or the actual property location, just for privacy. But beautiful house. This is a listing that we sold about a year ago, and you can see that built-in fireplace, which is dual side, kitchen, beautiful. The backyard. Look at this. Oh, look at this aerial view. This is the front yard. This is the home. This is his RV parking. He had an RV dump from Blackwater. He had full hookup, so he could have his RV there and have a guest staying there if he chose to, or whatever. When he comes back from having fun on the weekend, he just parks it, and then he can service the whole thing instead of stopping off at a pilot or something. Yeah, nice storage garage here. This is a 3-car garage here, and then beautiful pool, beautiful property. Look at this bedroom. Look at this bathroom. Well, it's beautiful property. Let's see what else I got. But so, this is kind of where we got the title of Paint It. So this owner had just had this home repainted. It took 3 or 4 weeks. And again, this was a listing of ours, and it was a great idea to paint it. But in painting it, there's a saying, you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig, right? Well, this wasn't a pig, but the lipstick wasn't going to solve all the problems. So broken concrete roof tiles, the caulking of this area here didn't cover up as the paint. The caulking and the paint didn't cover up the fact that the water was leaking straight down from here onto this joist and fascia board and rotting. Yep. But the home inspector certainly caught that. The bottom left here, you can see, look at these disheveled, broken, missing tiles. This is almost $1 million property. It was actually appraised at 920, sold for 820. But look at all of this. And this is a leaking water supply to the slide at the pool. This is an open junction box with insulation blown into it. Open junction box in the attic.
Amazing. Like live wires in there too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. This is a rafter board that's for a load-bearing wall that was just cut out so that they could put this vent pipe in.
That's not
right. And this is called double tapping. So this is where you put 2 hot wires into the same breaker. So it didn't happen just once, it happened multiple times. You can't do that. That's not code. This is an example of the window that didn't wouldn't stay open. So that's a health and safety issue.
Oh, for sure.
Because you have to have egress and ingress in every room in a property to be able to get out. So if you can't keep the window open to crawl out, it's not safe. This is water damage in the roof sheeting underneath the tiles that obviously the roof has been leaking for some time. Not good. And this, I'm just going to give you a pause just for a moment. What's wrong with this picture? Yeah.
So the chimney's
crooked.
Shifted.
Yeah. The chimney is crooked.
Wow.
Let's go back. You see the chimney?
Oh, see, I would have never guessed that.
Crooked. What causes a crooked chimney? Nothing good.
Nothing good.
So I'll tell you.
That low bearing right there.
It wasn't. Yeah, it could have been. It's similar. So this roof joist, which is the ones that run all the way up the roof, right? That had to be replaced because it was sagging. So they had to take off all of this roofing replaced that joist and actually doubled it up, because this is just a box around this flue of tin, brown tin, about 10 inches wide tube for the exhaust of the fumes and stuff of the fireplace. And so this box, which isn't heavy, it's not bricks, just had never been put in correctly. The joist was bending and just wrong.
Wow.
This is an $820,000 house that has a crooked chimney. Isn't that amazing? And the pictures and itemization that we didn't include on this property was that while we had it listed, we had to take it off the market for 2 months because the property developed a slab leak in the kitchen, meaning the pipe, the water supply pipe to the kitchen sink that went under the tiles in the kitchen was leaking. And they had to get a plumber in there, bust out concrete in the kitchen and drywall all the way up the wall in order to put in a new supply line, which I think was around $10,000 or $12,000, and took them off the market for 2 months.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so that is not even included in this. But what is included cost $11,685. $11,000.
Sounds reasonable for all of that.
It does. And they ended up doing all the work, and because then the buyer still was like, I don't know, there might be more stuff. And that gave them an additional $2,000 credit. Interesting. And closed that property. Still $820,000, an expensive home. But these types of things, and you know what? The seller knew the chimney was crooked. Oh, he didn't tell me about it, but he says, oh yeah, that's not a problem. It's been crooked since the day I bought it.
Okay.
Don't you want to fix it before you sell the property?
Still doesn't make it okay.
Well, and I'm sure that took a lot of confidence away from the buyer, which prompted this kind of a discount and this additional discount.
Right.
That's huge. Ay. So, let's stop sharing this real quick. I want to talk to you more about your property. And so, okay, obviously you noted a bunch of things after getting in there. Romantic about the buying of it, yeah, this is going to work out great. It's my first house. I'm going to rent that room. I'm going to put a bathroom somewhere. And then all this going on, right? So, okay, you get moved in, you fix a couple of tiles on the floor, get some moisture, and maybe do a few other things. You put in a whole new bathroom. So it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Right.
And you were able to rent it out for how much?
So each renter was paid 600. One was 650, the other was 600.
Okay, and your payment was how much?
At the time it was 1252 or something like that.
Okay, so 2 renters paid your entire payment.
Pretty much.
That's nice.
It was awesome. And then all the utilities I paid for, which was awesome.
Yeah.
I definitely made it.
Awesome. And it was, you could skateboard to your station, right?
I was literally 2 minutes down there. It was awesome.
Yeah, so location, always top 3 most important things in real estate. And so, okay, you did all this work, ready to sell. Did you think the property was ready to sell? Did you get it ready to sell?
So you said location. That was one of the major reasons why I bought this house. One, it was close to my station. And 2, it was close to a UTMB hospital right down the road. So lots of residents, lots of doctors living in the area. So your question was, did I get it ready?
Yeah, was it ready? Was it really ready to sell?
Honestly, I'm gonna say no.
Yeah. But you thought it was, huh?
I thought it was.
Were you being lazy?
No. I mean, I maybe a little bit lazy, but honestly, I thought it was ready. But then again, there was a lot of issues. So the home inspection obviously brought up many issues.
Tell us about a couple of the big ones that you was like, what?
So one was the roof, and I mean, I never go up there. I never mess with it, and they said, "Oh, it needs a new roof." Like, okay, well, I don't fully agree with it. And then there was a fascia board that was rotted, which clearly I didn't even pay attention to it, nor did I look at it. So that was an easy fix. I fixed that myself, and I it isn't painted, it's fine. The major biggest issue was the paint was chipping off.
Outside?
Uh, and the back wall or back side of the house was totally peeling. It was bad. But never go back there. I mean, I just mow and I go to work and then play games later. But it was really bad, so I had to totally sand it, chip it. I even discovered a huge piece of board that was rotting under the paint after I sanded it. I was like, okay, that's not good. So I took that board out, replaced it, caulked it, sweet, sanded it enough so I could repaint it. And it looked awesome after. It looked nice and refurbished, if you will.
Mhm.
But
So
other
you,
than
so,
that,
so you did a couple of pretty big repairs on the house that were outlined by the home inspector. There were other things, okay, you said, I'm not doing the roof's fine. Okay, right? Cool with that, it sounds like. So did you end up having to credit them any money?
so originally I wanted to sell it for 194. This is in Texas, and it's housing market's a little bit better price wise. So anyway, 194, and I had to come down to 190 because of the roof, because of the old piping going to the main bathroom, which these are improvements. I didn't have to replace anything, but these are little niches that the buyer wanted to say, no, this is wrong, no, that's wrong, to try and bring me down. And I knew that, which I would do the exact same thing. Um, but yeah, so those little things I was like, no, I'm not doing that. But finally I had to come down to 190.
Gotcha. So $4,000 discount. But you're having a tough time selling, as I recall. Your first buyer drug you home for 2 months and couldn't qualify. And so getting closer to being discharged, released, however it's called, from the Coast Guard. So, and you're newly engaged, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So, yeah, I understand. Just discount the $4,000.
I wanted to move on it. I wanted to rent it out too, but that'd be a big hassle, moving from Texas to California. But there's a lot of other things I'd like to do, um, but that requires a lot more.
Yeah. But hey, great experience. Your first house, you get to take advantage of the VA benefits that you have.
Oh, that was amazing.
It's not 100% financing, of course, there's still closing costs and funding and such, but yeah, no, fantastic. And great experience and saved a ton of money. Being closer to the station, not having much of a house payment, maybe utilities, so fantastic move. Okay, so one other little bit to share. Um, as well, that's a good time then to talk about a little bit about staging. So staging in a lot of cases, and if you don't know what that is, then that is where you bring in furniture, pictures, and things to make the property look inviting, warm, homey, for people that are going to buy your property. So you do that as a seller. And here's a couple of examples of a company that we have used before. And generally, you're only going to do this to a property that's already vacated. So if, like your house, you were still living in it, you still have a TV and couch and everything. You want to get rid of all the clutter. You want to get rid of all the personal stuff so that when someone comes in to view your home, possibly buy it, that they can personalize it and envision their stuff in your space. So personal items gone, clutter gone, family photos gone, all that kind of stuff. So staging does just that in a vacant house. So you bring in a nice, non-specific pictures, items of interest that fill voids, and nothing that shouts one way or the other, right? If you were a Trump supporter and you had a huge picture up of Trump 2020, probably a bad idea. Probably. Yeah, because that says one way or the other. So that's just a bad example. But yeah, You know, this is the staging company that simply put this there for themselves. They didn't leave it there while having it,
How does it say that?
having it staged, but this is one of the pictures from the website. So, yeah, but staging is something to note on both sides. As a seller, great idea if the home's vacant. As a buyer, know that it was staged, and know that you still have to look past the beauty of the staging. Don't just look at the fresh paint like an $820,000 house. Look deeper. Where's the water stain? Where's the under the cabinet? Where's the this, the that?
Should have done that.
Everybody, yeah. So it goes both ways.